It finally started raining and it definitely feels like fall now, so we've been scrambling to harvest and preserve what remains of the garden. My goal was to grow enough basil to make enough pesto to freeze and use throughout the year, and we actually did manage to grow quite a bit, though probably not as much as I would have liked. So I'm really going to go for it next year and just try to grow tons. My recipe for pesto will be on the blog. It's a pretty basic recipe, but I tend to prefer to use walnuts over pine nuts most of the time. They are cheaper, that's why. Also, I like to soak and dehydrate my nuts so they're a little bit easier to digest, but that's just an optional step that we like to take, and you don't have to do that.
Until like 4 o'clock that day, then I want to be able to have everything sort of ready.
So we typically use the deep bedding method for keeping things clean in the goat barn, but there's been a lot of talk this year about how bad the rats are in our area from other local farmers. And we were starting to notice that we were having issues with it as well. So we decided to set up traps and deep clean the barn, and our pest issues seem to be back under control, thankfully. And I'll also admit that we wanted to get the barn nice and clean because we have 3 adorable, fluffy new arrivals to the farm. So these 3 handsome boys are named Nikki, Nigel, and Ned, and they are cashmere wethers, and 2 of them are already getting quite fluffy with their winter coats. They are quite young now, but they're old enough to not get bullied too much by our herd, which is nice. And they'll eventually get huge like Max and Monty. With all the time we've been spending outside with our goats lately, we couldn't help but notice how many hawthorn trees we have growing outside. I think we have 9 or 10 trees at least, and they're all just completely loaded with berries right now. Hawthorn berries are said to be good for your cardiovascular system, so we're harvesting them up, and we're sharing with the goats because they like them too. So far, I've tinctured most of the berries that we've harvested, but I also experimented with making a raw honey syrup that can be used with soda water, and it's really delicious. So today I'm going to talk about something a little bit personal. If you've been around here for a while, you would know that the delivery of my second child was pretty rough on me. I talked about this a little bit more at length in a previous knitting episode. To make a long story short, I was in labor for a really long time. I had a rare issue called a bandle ring. Because I was in labor for so long, I got an infection, then I went and got a C-section, and they had me on several different antibiotics for a long period of time during my stay at the hospital. So this completely messed me up. It completely messed up my digestion. And while I recovered from the surgery part of it rather seamlessly, the stuff with my gut continued to be a problem, and it lasted for a really long time. Luckily, before I had my baby, I stocked up my freezer with tons of soup, bone broth specifically. I did this because it was like cold weather. It was like late winter when I was stocking up my freezer, and I had read a lot about the fourth trimester and how bone broth can really help. That was really nice because once I had my baby, that's all I wanted to eat. And it was the only thing that was sitting well with me were soups, really brothy bone broth soups. The fourth trimester passed and I was still only doing well with soups and not so much with other foods. And it was becoming like really annoying. So it was around this time that I was kind of putting out mental feelers to try and figure out what I could do to resolve this. And I'd gone to the doctor, but they were not very helpful. And it was around this time that I came across Kelsey of Family Sue Cook. She at the time was promoting her Broth Academy, which she was about to launch. In this class, she taught how to make bone broth and how to make chicken stock. I was thinking like, well, I already know how to do that, but I could see that her bone broth was very gelatinous. Anyway, I could tell that she had some insight into broth that I did not have. And when I kind of scoured through her Instagram, I could see that she had been using broth for a long time to help heal her Lyme's disease. So I took the course and it was a total game changer. It completely changed how I did broth, and I have basically been telling everyone I know about it ever since. So after I took Kelsey's Broth Academy course, I started implementing broth and stock into my diet on a regular basis. And in fact, I experimented with a very intensive gut healing diet. It was called the GAPS diet, and it was, like I said, it was very intense. I felt like I was married to my kitchen, essentially. But I did start to experience some healing, and my weird rashes started to go away, and I could digest food again, and I just felt a relief that I hadn't felt in a while. Unfortunately, when we moved here, I had to stop. It was just too much. Times were very stressful. Society was not functioning normally, and so we ended up eating out a lot, and it seemed like it was going to be fine. And then, I don't know, a month or two down the road, I started to feel like things were catching up with me again. It was kind of surprising because I was doing so well up until that point. It was just, you know, the last year and a half has been really intense for us. There's been a lot of good things, but it's all been very stressful, good stress and bad stress. And it's been taking its toll. So I have two reasons that I'm bringing this up. So the first reason that I'm bringing this up is because as we transition into fall, the weather's getting cooler again. Broth and stock is not really something that I crave in the summer because it's just too warm. But now that it's cooling off again, my body wants to be nourished, and I want to start healing and to relax from all this stress and to kind of just, I just am like intuitively feeling the need to heal. I'm not going to go back to the GAPS diet because, like I said, that was really intense, but I have taken a lot from that diet and am going to be implementing that into my cooking in the kitchen, which brings me to my second reason for bringing this up, which is that Kelsey is going to be launching her Broth Academy again here very soon. And she's asked me to be an affiliate this year. And I'm just really glad to have this opportunity to support her work because I think it's really great. And I'm actually really stoked this year because she's going to be adding information about beef broth, which wasn't in her courses before and is something that I've been really wanting to learn about. I'm going to be including a link in the description below for her ebook, which is going to be free to you for a very limited time. Whether you're someone with sensitivities to gluten or grain or dairy, or you just want to prioritize cooking deeply nutritious, delicious recipes to feed your family, you're going to want Kelsey's Broth at Home ebook as a resource in your kitchen. Every recipe I've made in this ebook has been comforting and warming and makes us feel good, and they've been a hit with my entire family, even my pickiest little eaters. Sign up for Kelsey's ebook Broth at Home by clicking the link in the description below. It's only available for a limited time, so you don't want to miss out. Just sign up with your email and she'll deliver it straight to your inbox.